Hey guys, it's Emilia here and welcome to Journal Engineer. Today we're going to do our July theme, which is gonna be jellyfish themed, jellyfish July, if you can make the connection. I'm going to talk more about different spreads, jellyfishes and so much more. So let's dive in. Here you can see my June theme. If you missed that video, you can check out the links in the description. So let's begin. As always, I had no idea what I wanted to draw at the beginning. I'm just inventing my spreads right in front of the camera. So at this point I decided that I would like to do jellyfishes, as I've never drawn them before, ever, I think. So yeah, it's a new experience for me and I really want to draw more different things than usual, so yep. Of course, I start with a massive July in the middle of the right page, and then I just scatter a bit where I want the jellyfishes to be. So to draw a jellyfish was kind of challenge for me because they're floating, which means that they're not standing upwards or they're not straight at all. They need to be like kind of wavy in order to look like floating in the sea. Their tentacles needs to be like waving around. Of course, I start with a semicircle, We are all familiar with the head of the jellyfish, although it's not a head, but I'm gonna talk about this a bit later. So I start first with the semicircle and then I start adding the stomach. Yes, this is a stomach, by the way, of the jellyfish, and from there, bit by bit, I'm going to start the tentacles. So I want the jellyfishes to be kind of like a graphic, minimalistic. I don't want them to be that much detailed, so yeah, I don't rush myself on that. I just do lines, as you see. It's most of the time like one line that I'm doing, and at the time that I was drawing that, my mom was just like, okay, calm down, straight hand, just do some lines and then you're gonna think how to fix this mess. But somehow they turn out nice. And I think that here an important effect is that the tentacles are not following each other. They're not like the Wi-Fi symbol, they're not parallel to each other, and they're just like randomly located all around the jellyfish. I also add a tentacle that is a bit more curved, I don't know, there was a water current there, and or just the jellyfish is waving at me. Hello, jellyfish! I have no idea how I got to this point. So after I have around 2 or 3 wider tentacles, I start adding the smaller ones, like the thinnest one, which are just straight lines that I'm doing. No straight lines, just lines that I'm doing. I continue with the smaller ones, and I think that I can leave that jellyfish to this state for now. I decided to write July because I really want to see where I need to position those letters, and I need to position the jellyfishes around them. So yeah, I wrote July in more like calligraphic way. But because I told you I want the entire theme to be a bit more like minimalistic, I decided to add those cute little lines around the lettering. I think it's just an amazing effect. Then I start adding more details to the jellyfish that we have. We're gonna call this jellyfish Bob. So I want to make Bob more detailed on this page. That's why, as you can see, I add a small little shades on Bob's head, because it's a semicircle, but actually it's like a semisphere, if there is a such word. And also it has some kind of like little semicircles around it. Not sure if I'm explaining it right, but you can see them, guys. I'm doing shadow. So yeah, I had a small little lines there. It appeared as a shadow, and I start decorating more the tentacles down below with I make them a bit more dark, and I also do some lines that are going along with the tentacle, in order to have a bit of jellyfishy appearance. Not sure how to call that, but you see this picture. It has some lines on the tentacles, so yeah, I kind of try to recreate the same here. And I also, of course, in the water there are shades, there is light. I also do some shading here and there. Also, another important thing, well, there are a lot of important things. So a thing that I learned through this year, if you've been here in a while, just a quick brackets, if you've been here in a while, you know that I am doing black and white themed journal for 2023, which means that yeah, basically I'm drawing almost only with micron pen, and of course with the practice, like once a month, of course, with the practice I got to learn new stuff when a person is drawing only with black and white, and one of them was never do the lines the same. How, you may ask? If I do the lines the same thickness, like in the entire drawing, nothing's gonna pop out, which is kind of bad because I always like to have a focus in my pictures and in my drawings. And in our example right now with the jellyfishes, those pop-up thingies, I want to be the tentacles here. So that's why I make the lines there thicker. And I think it's really important in order to achieve more detailed sketch and even more detailed drawing, though without actually drawing details. I mean, it's really easy. So yeah, then I start drawing another jellyfish that I wanted to have a little different perspective, like if I'm looking from the top, and that's why I drew the helmet. I'm gonna call it helmet, the head, I don't know. I drew the top of the head a bit more visible. That's why we see that strange dot there. Honestly, looking at it right now while recording the voiceover, I don't think that this dot should be there, but I decided to place it anyway. So I draw the same jellyfish, like literally the same. I just imagine it from a different perspective, which means that I'm gonna see a bigger part of the head and a bit smaller part of the tentacles. The third jellyfish is rather interesting because I want to draw it from below, which means that I need to think about what is under the jellyfish. Well, they're kind of transparent, so I don't have that much of imagination about this, but I decided to draw it like we draw mushrooms. As you know, we draw mushrooms with the little lines that are going from the inside to the outside. So yeah, I decided to do here the same. And also, as I said, wavy tentacles. Of course, I need to do a quote here, and I decided to be something more themed with the jellyfishes themselves, and that's why I decided to write down, it's okay to float along, it's okay to just be, which really vibes with me in the recent few months because I've been so overwhelmed with work and like things that I need to do, not things that I want to do, that at some point I'm just like doing my days on autopilot, which is not that good, I know, but not every second of our lives needs to be a productivity and like happiness. I mean, sometimes if you don't have our downs, you know, we cannot actually see our ups. I mean, probably I'm sounding right now like those Facebook quotes that are actually in pictures with minions and only our moms are sharing them. So, but yeah, don't mind me. The thing about just floating along with life, I think it's fine if a person is doing this at a certain point of their life, not of course through the entire life, but if you want to do it for your entire life, that's also totally fine. Everybody has a different lives, and I mean, we're 8 billion people on this planet. Of course, everybody wants to live a different life, and there is enough for everybody. So yeah, if you want to be your jellyfish your entire life, I'm totally fine with it. So before finishing this cover page, I start adding a few bubbles because of course jellyfishes are under the water, which means that we may add some bubbles just for aesthetics, nothing more. Actually, there are no bubbles around the jellyfishes, but I really like to scatter some things around my main objects in my theme. As you remember, I scattered many dot work around the mountains, and I think I scattered more dots in my March theme. So yeah, I really like those bubbles here. So yeah, I think we finished with our cover page, guys. If you enjoyed that spread, consider liking this video, or if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, consider that. If you like this video, you may like my other content, and I'll be really happy to have you here in the family as well. Let's continue to the monthly pages, which are gonna be exactly the same as every time. Like, guys, when you find a spread that is working with you, just stick with it. I mean, if you're done with experimenting, that's also fine. I'm done with experimenting in my monthly pages. Basically, I have a few more views that I'm going to talk about more when I finish actually this page. But before that, let me talk more about the box jellyfish. So the box jellyfish is the deadliest jellyfish in the world. Like, I think it's the deadliest sea creature, by the way, but I need to check this. It's living in Australia, of course, with the other hell creatures that are living there, but this one is a water one, so maybe it's like from the water hell, I don't know. So the box jellyfish is called box jellyfish because it's a cube, basically. You can see it right now on the screen. So yeah, it's a deadliest one, and basically if you get stung by it, it can cause a cardiac arrest, paralysis, or even death. I mean, people are dying from this. There is a really interesting story from a woman. She's a doctor, like a biology doctor, and she got stung by this jellyfish, and she was almost gonna die. And I don't know, by some happy coincidence, she actually lived through this and healed 100%. And then she started to research more about the jellyfish. And at the time she was doing her research, there were not that much researches about the box jellyfish. And she was a pioneer in her field because of this. She discovered that this jellyfish is coming on a certain time of the moon calendar on the beaches of Australia, which means that, for example, from the first part of the moon cycle, it's totally free to go to the beach and swim in the water, but from a certain point, like at the end of the moon cycle, for like a week, the jellyfishes appear and it's not safe. Well, it's awesome because here in her interview she was like, well, actually the jellyfish is not exactly the keyword, because I'm the animal which is trespassing her natural habitat, the sea, which I think is the right mindset. So here is our monthly planner. I have a brain dump on the right, and I also have on the left my goals for the month. I have my tasks for August that are just appearing throughout July, and I have no fuel to write them down. I just write them here and then I transfer them to August when I draw it. And also I have my monthly planner where I actually write what tasks or travels I have throughout the month. Yep, it's really simple monthly spread, but it really works for me and it's been amazing. You can try it and let me know in the comments if you like it or if it's suitable for everyday life. Drawing jellyfishes has been unexpectedly funny for me. I don't know why I like it that much. Something like a tip that I can tell you about drawing jellyfishes, like this exact type of jellyfish, is that when you're doing the wider tentacles, you notice that I am reversing the wider parts, if you understand me. So for example, you see here we have a line, a continuous line, and then actually this line is becoming the wider part, and then there are some kind of like triangles, and then it's going again in wavy part. And as you can see, they're like rotating. Don't do all tentacles the same. I mean, they're floating, they're rotating, they can be tangled in some way. So yeah, just make sure your wrist is free and you're doing just clean lines. That's everything. So yeah, I decided this time to not talk that much about deep shit throughout my entire video, and I decided to make this video a bit more shorter. But if you want to hear my deep shit, just click on my previous video, guys. It's not something that I expect from this channel, it just happens, so I'm gonna leave you to the happiness of the jellyfishes. I think this theme turned out really great. It was really pleasant to draw. I didn't expect that. Honestly, I thought that I was gonna struggle with the jellyfishes throughout the entire theme. So yeah, sometimes the life is good, some days not, but today is one of the good days. If you like this video so far, don't forget to give it a like or even subscribe to the channel. I'm here, I'm talking as always, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you as well. Next time we're going to do our August, where of course I have no idea what I'm gonna draw, so just stay tuned, probably it's gonna be something fun. Until then, of course, don't forget to stay on the sunny side.